ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to On the Cards with your two hosts, myself, Lyokosaver.
And me, Gerdat 14.
This will be a podcast type thing where we discuss various things in Yu-Gi-Oh! And related to Yu-Gi-Oh! And possibly other card games if they catch our fancy. But tonight, in particular, we'll be discussing name changes from cards from Japan to English in Yu-Gi-Oh! Specifically, in this case, Primal Origins. And Gerdat will be mostly leading this as he has more invested into this.
Well, I don't really have more invested, but I have a lot more emotional outbursts when it comes to this. Now, Yu-Gi-Oh! Being TCG and OCG has certain name changes in between the sets, because as I mentioned on our first take of this video, the OCG name for Archfiend literally translates to demon, and Judeo-Christian terminology is not really okay at the moment in our not as progressive as I would like world. So certain name changes do have to be made. Even though I disapprove of the particular one when it comes to the turtle once called God, translating into Tetsudo Eret Newman, which is just Latin and backwards for the turtle once called God. A lot of these name changes feel either very lazy or unnecessary to me personally. Yes, a lot of the ones that involve religious imagery actually make sense. Some of these, on the other hand, that we'll be covering today, do not make sense and deserve most of my hate.
I mean, a few are bad, a few are weird, and a few, quite frankly, are just fine as they are. It really varies.
Yes. So, I would like to start this off with actually one that we don't have prepared. It's just a small one. Geyser Shark.
Geyser Shark.
Yes, Geyser Shark in the OCG was actually originally translated as Geyser Shark, and it makes sense. He's a steam shark, and he spews out geysers in order to special summon other monsters in the graveyard. Boom. Geyser Shark doesn't make any amount of sense unless you want to, emphasize the eyes, which are not emphasized in the card art or in the effect at all. So there's that.
What was his original? Sorry, I was trying to find the card.
It was Geyser Shark.
Geyser.
No, not Geyser. It was Geyser Shark.
Geyser.
Geyser Shark is his translated name. And if you look at the card art, he's clearly giving off a lot of different steam. And his effect interacts directly with the graveyard as well as special summoning targets. So it makes sense that he would be called Geyser Shark. He makes a huge freaking splash of water. Yeah. Like, you like to do the analogy with water monsters make a big splash.
They do, and if they ever get an honest equivalent, I want it to be, Glub. That's what it is, Glub.
Yes, Glub. Now,
which actually isn't related.
This one is really small, but it goes to show that they're willing to change the names of pretty much any of these cards, just so that they either have a closer translation or a much friendlier translation. But Geyser Shark to Geyser Shark makes no sense here. That
actually doesn't. Like, if you had an effect that worked with the hand or looking at something, like set cards, it would make sense. But yeah, no, geysers, that should be erupting stuff.
Yes.
That's
alright. There are a couple of the other ones that were changed in Primal Origin that I know are Battling Boxer Veil, but I don't remember if he was Quick Gardener or not. I want to say he was, and honestly, either way that works. And I know that Artifact Fail Not was something else, but I don't remember what it was, so I can't really, hate on that one all that much. But one of the next ones that I really dislike is Sylvan Snapdrasinagon. How the fuck do you say this?
As I reorder the tab so I get this right for the post, Sylvan Snapdrasinagon. Oh crap, no, Drasinagon. You gotta Snuff, Concealed Nectar of Shinra.
Exactly. It was Snuff Spy. And even though Snuff Spy isn't really all that great of a card, his original name actually makes sense with his card art. If you look at him, he looks to be a rather small-statured assassin. It makes sense to call him Snuff Spy.
It also fits with the kind of almost pun nature of some of the stuff. Well, like Marshall Leaf and Peacekeeper and stuff, to have him Snuff Spy.
Yeah.
Snapdragon, that's really stupid.
Yeah. Now it's supposed to be referenced to the Snapdragon plant. Okay, Snapdragons have nothing to do with what he does. I mean, I think in some original mythology, snapdragons are maybe like poisonous plants,
Hmm.
but he doesn't have anything poisonous about him. He's just bonus excavation, which is good in the deck theoretically, but you don't really need any more than you already have. So
And we're not
there's
going to
that.
get too far into that. The one other name change I'm actually going to point out on the Sylvan archetype, which is more of an annoyance for a wrong reason, really. I really wish they had stayed Shinra instead of Sylvan, but that's more because I'm sick of looking up Sylvans and getting a wealth of magic cards. Mind you, it's not a bad archetype, but it's not what I want.
Right.
I want plants, not elves.
Hmm.
Only marginally related.
And honestly, I'm not entirely sure if Shinra would have made more sense here because Sylvan, I hear Sylvan and I get nature inclined.
Hmm.
Shinra makes a lot of people remember Final Fantasy VII,
Yeah.
so you have the disconnect there with modern culture. I want to say that Ghostrick
You want to say what?
doll was actually changed, but I don't think I don't really think that it was. Ghostrick doll. I don't actually think that one was changed, but it feels like it was.
Might have. Yeah, I guess the Sylvan Shinra stuff makes sense. It's just more of a minor
But there
nuisance.
is another one.
Oh, we're going
Yeah.
to the ghost tricks.
Okay. The other one. Well, not. I don't really mind. Not. I don't mind most of the ghost stuff, except for one that we'll get to later. I'm kind of just going down the list right now. Sorry, but
That's
I want to bring up Macafan and Beast Lion. If you recall, his original one was actually oily. Yeah, it was Oileon. Now, Oileon had such emphasis on the oil that the picture really confused me. I got that it was a space satellite, but I didn't understand why that was important with oil. Now that it's actually Lion, this is a name change that I actually get. It's supposed to be a lion in a lion's mane. Now I
Huh.
get it. Some of these name changes actually make sense. They can do decent name changes.
Yeah, that's actually cool, and it makes kind of a cute little joke.
Hmm.
Back of Phantom Beast. Oh, lion.
Yes.
And Orion, because, stars.
And I don't think that they were going for Orion. And almost all the Phantom Beasts have been based on animals. Although I think Orion's the only one that's a land-based animal. All the other ones are like raptors and other birds of prey.
Could have been. Still.
Okay. One of the ones that I wanted to bring up that I didn't prepare you for. I'm so sorry for it.
Oh, there's so
Uh,
many that aren't
I want
prepared.
to bring up Lucent, the Netherlord of Darkworld. Lucent's original name was translated as Celt. Hmm. Have you caught up to me, Forrest?
Yeah.
Oh
Sorry, there
dear.
might be little lags in this one, but if anything, it almost makes his rants better because it goes into hyper mode, which I might be able to slow down later, and if I can't, it's funnier.
Okay, okay. Oh dear.
Yeah.
I didn't think our connection would be this terrible. I'm
I
sorry.
I don't know what happened to mine or yours or what. If
It's
it's
yours. Mine has been actually almost fine all week, so
then I don't know if hosting the 3 AoE game screwed it up. Sorry, people.
maybe.
It it's technical stuff.
All right, but if we're still going,
Yeah.
I wanted to bring up Celt.
Yes.
I wanted to bring up Celt because Celt is Celt is an interesting Dark World monster. He is.
Hmm.
Not because of his effect, but because of his name. He was the first Dark World monster that I can immediately remember that didn't remind me of a particular color scheme. I mean, Snow you could apply to as white, and
Hmm.
Grapha was clearly supposed to be gray.
Yes.
I didn't see anything for Celt, and now his name is Lucent.
Hmm.
So like translucent. He's supposed to be clear.
Which he does kind of look clear.
Yes, he definitely looks clear, especially with the wings. But his suffix was going to be Ogre God of Darkworld. Obviously, we can't have Ogre God because, well, God in Judeo-Christian mythology.
Hmm.
Except that's not what it refers to. Ogre God is in fact a Japanese term. It's Japanese mythology. He would be an Oni Lord.
Right. Which
I
is
don't understand why we can't have Oni Lord of Dark World as opposed to Netherlord. Netherlord is just as dark and Satan supporting as other archdemons are. So why the massive change here to something that's actually more offensive?
because Oni specifically replies to another religion in America, Whereas Netherlord has the nether attached to it, so you can be like, oh, it's just like nothingness lord.
But that's not what it actually is. And anyone that wants to do the research on this can prove me wrong if they want. But as far as I know, Netherlord literally means Lord of the Underworld. He would actually have a higher position and rank than Grapho would.
It's stupid, but you know.
Yeah. Especially when you consider that the entire Dark World archetype is based around this ruler's hierarchy.
Is Grapha actually supposed to be their leader?
I'm not sure if Graph is supposed to be their leader. Honestly, I would think that that would fall under either Silva or Gold, or even Underworld King. Either Terror King Archfiend or Lord of Horrors.
Oh, would the Terror King actually be?
But as far as the Dark Worlds go, Grapha is most certainly their strongest warrior.
Maybe he's supposed. I don't know. Maybe if we can find the story on it, we'll have to go over Dark Worlds because it could be cool.
Perhaps.
But that's another time.
All right. Next up, we actually have FBUTA Tuna Full Print is because the original name for this was Fincess, and it made sense. It was a pun on her both being a fish and a princess. She's not exactly that useful card, but it was a much better name, especially when you consider her artwork. Now, it's a forced fish pun with the princess suffix, instead of being a light fish pun with a princess pun attached to it. It was funnier. It was funnier, and it was both funnier and meaningful on its original print. And now it's a forced pun with an additional suffix that you didn't need.
I think my issue with this more is like the original was cool. If they had made this Princess Beautiful, it might have been better. It
would have been actually better that way. It would have, because you have the princess as the prefix, then giving her a royalty, and then the stupid fish pun. It would still be a stupid fish pun, but the first card's name was a stupid fish pun that made sense. So there's that.
This one's
all right.
Just silly.
So next up, we have Condemned Maiden.
Oh my!
Now the translated for this officially is Holy Maiden of Lost Comfort. Again, Judeo-Christian terminology.
And just
except not really.
She was originally Forsaken Maiden, I believe.
Holy Maiden is she was originally either Forsaken or Forbidden Maiden. We had a lot of different particular translations go through with this one. And I would have liked it if she was the Forbidden Maiden, specifically because she is supposedly the maiden from all the other forbidden cards. Lance, we'll get into it later, but Scripture, Dress, and Chalice. She's the chick that partook in all of those artifacts and has since been condemned for it. In that sense, the name actually makes sense. She has been condemned for her use of the artifacts. The problem, of course, being is that they don't directly link anymore.
I guess if they end up making another version of her, then it would make sense to save the Forbidden. But as it stands, it is silly.
Right now, she's got more in line with the Unforgiving Maiden than anyone else. Plus, I find it difficult to actually see the resemblance between her and the chick on the card arts for the Forbidden Artifacts, given that the chick on the Forbidden Artifacts usually is blonde, and she's clearly a brunette.
Yeah, the artwork certainly doesn't help us any.
Yeah. This is a case of where the card sets are supposed to make sense and just don't mesh together, thanks to overstepping the translation bounds. Going back to the Holy Maiden of Lost Comfort, these terms are not necessarily just Judeo-Christian. We use the term holy in a lot of RPGs, and not just for Judeo-Christian references. Holy is actually an adjective now, and has been so for hundreds of years. And it would have been better if it were that. It would have actually made a little bit more sense. Maybe not in the card art, but at least in the name. She did something terrible. Well, what did she do? Then it could be elaborated through other card effects, or at least other card arts that she had interacted with all the artifacts. So there, we could have done that. But no, now she's condemned Maiden, and she doesn't have anything connecting her to it other than her name and the forces and the forced conclusions that we have to draw from the backstory behind the name changes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're on agreement, and you pretty much hit all the points to hit.
Okay, I want to bring up a name change that I wish we would get as the TCG name. We won't, mind you, but I would love for number C102 Archfiend Seraph to actually go into numero C102 Serafino Archidemon.
Here it is.
I would love to see that. I would. One, we'd actually get rid of a lot of the pretext that, hey, Archdemon is a terrible term. No, it's not. For one, it's actually a very powerful and intimidating term, but it's not a terrible term.
Mm-mm.
Plus, Serafino Archidemon feels so right as opposed to Archfiend Seraph. Archfiend Seraph gives him actually more relations to Lucifer and the biblical fall of paradise. Whereas Serafino Archidemon actually has the same connotation, but sounds far more powerful and far more right.
The problem with changing the Archfiend stuff now is then the archetype doesn't look like it meshes together without a bunch of erratas.
Right.
You know, it's a terribly great archetype, but it is an archetype, and you hate to just kill it. They've sort of started to fix the mistake, but only went halfway.
I'm not saying that we should have all of our Archfiend cards renamed to Archidemon, because honestly, that would take a lot of effort, and honestly, Terror King Archidemon does not sound nearly as well as Terror King Archfiend. Terror King Archfiend sounds a lot more intimidating.
And you expect what you get for fiend monsters.
Yes.
So I'm not entirely against that for that reason, even if it might not be the reason.
All right, I want to bring the next two up at the same time. Number 43, Manipulator of Souls, and number C43, High Manipulator of Chaos.
Holy crap, where did they go?
They're right below Archfiend Seraph.
I'm not looking at it like that. I have them all open in tabs. There we go.
All right. My thing about this is that with the release of the Shaddolls, we can't actually have them be their original name, which was Soul Marionneteer.
Mm-hmm.
But they still have the card art for being soul puppeteers. It's what they do. They manipulate souls. And honestly, have the C40 number 43 having this name is actually okay for me, because he's still a manipulator of souls. That's what he does. Mm-hmm. High Manipulator, on the other hand, is not a manipulator of souls, except he still is. He is still a manipulator of souls, but he's gotten much better at it with his additional arms, hands, and strings. So the fact that he's now the High Manipulator of Chaos when he just was Chaos Marionneteer. Chaos Marionneteer is a lot more difficult to say, but it sounds cooler.
Mm-hmm.
This is me just kind of, raging over the fact that these names are kind of blasé. High Manipulator of Chaos, it's very descriptive. But Chaos Marionneteer, it's still very descriptive, but it's descriptive in a very vague fashion. It's like, oh my god, he manipulates the events from outside. No, he directly manipulates the events, thus ensuing chaos. So, Chaos Marionneteer is just a better name for me in this instance.
Yeah. Like, the first one is fine, as you said. The second one is weird.
But you can't really affect one without the other, because again, it's the chaos numbers thing. Mm-hmm. One has to be directly correlated to the other. So if we were going to have Chaos Marionneteer, we'd have to have Soul Marionneteer as the other one. And Soul Marionneteer actually makes a bit more sense to me as well, but that's a thing, okay? It's not necessarily a thing that's really that big of a deal. I just really wish it was Chaos Marionneteer.
Or even if they did Chaos High Manipulator or something.
Well, it already is technically Chaos High Manipulator. It's High Manipulator of Chaos, so...
I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out if reordering it might help keep the Chaos without making it seem like he is something he's not.
I don't think so. The order that it's in now is pretty much as best as I could really hope to get it.
Mm.
All right. But next up, we have a name that we should be angry about, but aren't, because it makes sense. Behold, Ghostrick So Cute Boss. Even saying the name throws Forrest into a laughing fit. That is how awesome this name is.
It's funny because it's not the boss.
There is that. There is that. So Cute Boss is in fact not the boss of the archetype. That belongs to Alucard.
Mm-hmm.
But So Cute Boss was Succubus. Thing is, she's apparently between 8 and 13. You can't really have a succubus between those ages and not raise a huge stink about it in some particular community. So the name change here is much more of a cultural thing than anything else, but it still feels slightly odd to me. Although she is still ridiculously cute. Even though once she's on the field, you really wish she was no longer there, simply because where did all of my monster zones go?
Oh, 3 of these and a ground collapse? Shame if I put a salt counter on your face.
All right, but So Cute Boss is actually a really interesting name change. I just wish it was still Succubus. It's a very good and humorous name. It is, and I'm not angry about it.
Mm-mm.
I feel like I should be though, because Succubus is a much better name for what this monster really technically does.
I'm a little upset just because it doesn't feel like it fits with the theme anymore.
True,
Yeah,
because if you look at all the other Ghostrick monsters, you have Mary, who is a soul trapped in a mirror. You have Doll, who is literally a possessed doll, and Werewolf. All of these are literal monsters from fiction. And now So Cute Boss, that's not a monster from fiction. That's a child's plaything that you want to cuddle with.
It's weird because of the other names. Is what really makes. But I don't know what they could have done besides Succubus.
Charmer?
Charmer? Yeah, Ghostrick Charmer could have actually worked.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it wouldn't have made sense with the other Charmers, but who cares? The other Charmers don't actually see play.
Well, maybe they could have went on the Charmer thing. Ghostrick. Maybe. Great. Manipulator? No.
No.
Ghostrick. I don't know. I don't have a thesaurus with me. Neither did they.
Alright. Moving on, we have Phantom Fortress, Enter Blathnir. I think I said that right.
Enter Blathnir. This was the Enterprise at one point.
Yes, this was Mirage Fortress Enterprise, and it's supposed to be Mirage Fortress Enterprise. It's literally a freaking skyship that's used to transfer all the other Mecha Phantom beasts around. It's supposed to be the Enterprise. And now it's impossible to pronounce them.
Now I think it's supposed to be a combination of the Enterprise and the Skith Blathnir, which is a Nordic ship of legend. Which...
Oh, okay, but does that ship have anything to do with the Wyvern legends?
I don't know. I just know that's what they were going with. I'm not saying it was necessarily a good thing, because I like the Enterprise, because, that's just a fun, cool joke thing, and the only way to one of the only ways to bring it out is Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, we have Space Cruiser 9.
Space Cruiser 9.
This is a real card. It's okay to reference Star Trek. It's okay. It's a pop culture reference that we like. I don't actually like Star Trek all that much myself, but I do like Next Generation.
Yeah, the original was cool. Generation is kind of what I ended up watching more, so that is more of a favorite to me.
And still, this should still be called Enterprise. I don't see why we needed to do the huge name change here, especially with things like Metal Shooter, Satellite Cannon, and Space Cruiser 9.
Even if they had just done the Enterprise-neer or something, changing enough that you can't hit copyright.
German name. Even though the German name is much more difficult to pronounce, it's still the Enterprise-neer. Okay, it's a small mistranslation of Enterprise. I could live with that. But this Enter Blathnir, it sounds like you're commanding the Blathnir to approach docking stations. I
Enter
don't even know
Blatnir!
what Blatnir is.
Ugh, it's a weird name. It's a weird name.
Yes. It's cards like the Phantom Fortress Enter Blatnir that really send this point home. It's an unnecessary name change. And it just baffles me why they would go through that.
It's
All right. Now we have yet another unnecessary name change in Carn Gorgon Anti-Luminescent Knight.
crap. We really should have organized this better. Good first episode. Good first episode. Because I'm not going down the list. But now that I know you are, that helps me. Okay, got it.
All right. Carn Gorgon as a unit name is actually just fine. I actually really like the name.
Mm-hmm.
But Anti-Luminescent Knight from Darkline Warrior. Why not just have a Darkline Warrior? You're overcomplicating the name for something that pretty much says exactly the same thing. I admit I do this. I overcomplicate my sentences all the damn time. But I do it because I happen to have a particular mental condition that makes me feel better when I'm confusing the hell out of other people. Confusing the hell out of other people is not what this game is about. Has never been about, and it's only because of all the misconceptions and ruling changes that happen on the dime that people get confused about this game.
Well, I gotta stop writing Maneater Bug then. Whoops. I don't mind the Warrior to Knight change. I like the sound of Knight more, and he looks more like a Knight. I mean, he's still a Warrior, but he has got that Knight feel to him, and he's not a Warrior monster. Which, I guess, then Anti-Luminescent makes sense, because it gives it more of the high-class thing that Knights kind of are known for. And Darkline Knight is not bad, but weird.
But you have to admit, Darkline Knight sounds a lot easier to say and like a lot cooler warrior than just Anti-Luminescent, especially when you consider that his effect has nothing to do with light monsters.
Yeah, but I mean, he is a dark, so he's a knight, but he's anti-luminescent. Devil's Advocate is hard when this is stupid.
Yes, this is stupid. He doesn't have any sort of anti-light attribute effects. What he is an effect veiler with feet and multiple uses, which is actually really cool. Mm-hmm. He's not going to see any play because his stats suck, but he's still an effect veiler with feet and multiple uses. That doesn't affect light monsters specifically at all. If he was Carn Gorgon Darkline Knight, that would be amazing. And it would actually make sense given the fact that his right arm is a solid column of fucking obsidian. That looks like it's really painful to look around, dude.
Smash.
Yes, smash effects. Yeah, his effect makes no sense given his card art.
Yeah, this kind of exemplifies the fact that whoever works on the art does not communicate with anyone. It's like, we need here. This is what you got.
Yeah, because Angel of Zera most certainly looks like a flying version of Zerato, except it looks like it's an MTG card and it has none of Zerato's effects.
Doesn't look at all like anything out of my Angel deck. In fact, I think I actually run an Angel that looks almost like him with a color swap.
See?
Probably one of the Seraphims.
Alright, when it comes to the spells and traps, there's not really all that many that I want to go over, but I do want to touch on Forbidden Scripture.
Okay.
Now, the whole thing behind Forbidden Scripture is that once we actually got the official translation, it turned out to be Forbidden Holy Rites. So changing it to Forbidden Scripture, I'm okay with that. Except Scripture is still an entirely religious term. Well, at least most of the time when I see it, it's a religious term. Mm-hmm. To me, this really should have just been Forbidden Tome or Forbidden Book, as it was originally translated. Had it been Forbidden Tome or Forbidden Book, not only would I not have any problems with this, I'd be happy about it. It's really simple. It's a forbidden book. Don't read it.
Yeah, that does make sense to a degree. Also, when I look at her artwork, she is kind of brunette, by the way.
Well, maybe the top part, but the way the light looks rains down on her, it looks like she's more gray.
Mm-hmm. But that could just be after using everything. Forbidden Scripture, I think, isn't a bad... Like, Tome and Book would have worked just as fine. but with each of the forbidden cards basically being a sort of holy artifact in of themselves, it actually works. Because, like, the lance is the Lance of Logness, and...
yes, the chalice is the Holy Grail. The dress, I don't know what the fuck the dress is.
The dress is supposed to be the seamless robe of Jesus. So it's actually his robe itself.
So even if you attempt to avoid Judeo-Christian mythology, you end up just diving right into it with these cards.
So I guess they just went with it for making it scripture instead of tome. Because it is
Alright.
basically the Holy Bible at that point, seeing as the other four or other three are related to it.
Yes. With that particular piece of information, scripture is actually a fine name, but it still would have been just as well with book.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, I would have liked it to be Forbidden Holy Rites, because if it's specifically referenced to each of the items prominent in Judeo-Christian mythology, when are we gonna get the Forbidden Rosary?
Would that be his crown?
No, that would be the Crown of Laurels.
Okay. Which... Oh, crap. What's the rosary? I should know this. I really should.
It's the string of beads followed by the crucifix.
Okay. Alright.
Come on, you've seen Inuyasha. You know what a rosary is.
I know what a rosary is, but I haven't seen any Inuyasha.
Oh, okay. The other ones that I really wanted to get into, because as much as the Monarchs Erupt is a terrible name change from Ambush to the Monarchs, it's something that I can actually get behind once you get into the official translation, which is the melting ambush of the Monarchs, featuring Thestalos.
Yeah.
So the Monarchs Erupt there because it focuses on Thestalos in the card arc. That's fine.
Mm-hmm. I need to convince Mark to run him.
But one of the ones that I cannot possibly forgive is and the band played on.
And the band played on, and the band played on, and you'll never run us in the deck because we suck. I think.
No, it doesn't suck.
No.
It's a really powerful trap card.
No, the artwork.
Oh yeah, I mean the Symphonic Warriors are way too fucking gimmicky. You're not gonna run them. They have some amazing skills. They do, but you're not gonna run them. The card itself is actually awesome, and it was originally called Discord Sector.
Which
it should have stayed as Discord Sector. It really should have, because Discord Sector makes a lot more sense, because we already have a card called Discord that serves a very similar purpose to And the Band Played On. And the Band Played On feels like a forced pulp culture reference, especially when we already have Discord.
And the Band Played On is just silly considering its effect. Its effect restricts stuff, whereas this feels like something like summon all your symphonies, and the band played on once more or like grand finale or some kind of thing. This is Discord Sector. It's like this is a sector of Discord where nothing is in harmony, which would be anything that's the same level or rank.
Yeah.
No. That's just silly.
Mind you, and the band played on does not actually affect synchro summons, but it's a negotiable thing. They're all tuners on the artwork, so you can get around that.
Yeah.
But this should have stayed as Discord Sector. I'd be more inclined to run it if it had stayed as Discord Sector.
I'm still running it at least in Cybers, but we've discussed this before.
All right.
Not that we can.
And the other one, there's only one other one. Well, no, there's at least two other ones that I want once my page actually loads up.
Okay.
I want to save that for last because I got a whole thing about that. Next up is Try and Guess.
All right, I was right.
Yes, Try and Guess is the next one. Originally, this was going to be this currently translated into Japanese is one of three. I love that name because of its effect and because of the artwork. Now it's a forced pun. A forced pun that's not even that funny.
I actually like the new name better. I think it's cool because you are kind of guessing as to who has more of the three, so it's try and guess. Who's got more? Yes, it's a stupid pun, but I still like it.
Yes. Its name and effect actually makes a lot more sense than it did. I'll say that. Because one of three pretty much pretty much thinks, oh well, you're going to choose one of these three effects and gamble with and get the corresponding effect. Except not really, because it's still technically a gamble, which is why I was going to run it. I had built an entire Gaia Knight build around using try and guess. It didn't work, but it was cool.
So silly.
So yeah, I would prefer it to be one of three. I would. I admit that try and guess is a better name, but it's so stupid with the forced pun. Ugh.
Yeah, it's punny.
Yes, it is very punny. And the last one that I want to talk about, because this really dashes my hopes for one of the manga archetypes, because this particular manga archetype was really cool, and I would have loved to have seen this. 100-footed horror.
Crap, I was wrong. I thought it was the artifact.
No. As much as I don't remember I don't remember what Failnaugh's original name was, so I can't really bitch about that.
Okay.
But I can bitch about 100-footed horror.
Oh, this is gonna be good.
100-footed horror's original name is Hell Centipede.
Yeah.
Hell Centipede is a member of the Hell Insect archetype. The Hell Insect archetype is an archetype that features prominently in the Yu-Gi-Oh manga. I believe it's the Yu-Gi-Oh manga for 5Ds. Yes, because the Hell archetype focused on bringing out Beels, the king of Netherworld dragons. Yes, that synchro. That synchro is actually part of an archetype, the Hell archetype, and it even has an advanced form in the manga. Matter of fact, I think it has several advanced forms in the manga. The fact that Hell Centipede has been changed to 100-footed horror means that the Hell archetype is not going to see a single other card in its archetype, and we're never going to get any of the other cool effects that came out of those duels, which is sad, very sad. The archetype is not very good. In all seriousness, the Hell monsters themselves are a bit too gimmicky and rely on a lot of your opponent doing stupid stuff, but it's a cool archetype, and it would have been really nice to see how a manga archetype that originates in the manga would have translated well into the game. I know that we've gotten a lot of manga exclusive support for other archetypes, in particular Black Wings and E-Heroes.
Yay!
Yes, very much yay. But we haven't really seen an archetype that started in the manga come into the main game. There have been a few minor exceptions, although most of the time we just end up seeing one or two cards from that archetype and then they're forgotten about. Vision Heroes, for example. Vision Heroes feature prominently in Jaden's duels against Night Shroud and Tragodia.
I thought Aster was the user of Vision.
Maybe it is Aster the user.
Because I thought that was his equivalent to Destiny.
I don't know, okay? I really don't. I haven't read the Yu-Gi-Oh manga, the Yu-Gi-Oh! GX manga, and I don't really have plans to, because Jesse Anderson, the guy that was famous for using the Crystal Beast, all of a sudden uses butterflies.
I want a butterfly archetype.
Yes, we have one. It's called Butter Spy. It has 4 monsters.
It has that's not an archetype. That's an archetype in the same line that Toon is an archetype. No.
Well, actually, Toon has got it better off. Toon has got a dedicated searcher, dedicated beat sticks, and a dedicated support spell.
And a dedicated
trap card. Butter Spy has 2 trap cards and 4 monsters. That's it.
Still want more Toons. And I want more of everything.
Yes, we want more of anything.
I want a 1,000-card pack with all the mangas and all the Toons and everything you've ever thought of. And it will be balanced, and it will be perfect, and we won't need a ban list anymore. This is why players don't get to decide things.
But yeah, Unfooted Horror is an interesting card on its own right. It can stand up on its own, especially in Skill Drain Beatdown. But the fact that they had to change the name from Hell Centipede means that we're not going to see that archetype. Unless, of course, they go and try and make it into a horror archetype, which is bullshit. We have way too many cards that have horror in their name already, and they're not part of an archetype.
Wouldn't Des have worked? Because isn't that supposed to be Hell, or is that Dark?
No, Dez is death.
Oh.
You
Crap.
have plenty of death monsters. Des Koala, Des Kangaroo.
I'm trying to think
Uh,
what they could have used as an alternative for Hell.
Honestly, Archfiend. Why not put him into the Archfiend category? Have him be Archfiend Centipede.
Oh, then that would have helped that deck. But I'm thinking if you wanted your whole Hell archetype, couldn't they have gone like,
Well, here's the thing. The Archfiends are supposedly the masters of Pandemonium, and Pandemonium is in fact the realm of Hell.
oh, how pleasant.
They've been very explicit about this. It's why when Warrior of Zera goes through the gates of Pandemonium, he comes out as Mazir Deville, quite literally like either Baphomet or, well, Archdemon.
Yeah. I just think, oh crap. Oh my god, this is gonna bug me.
What?
Hades. What was his realm?
Hades is his realm is technically called Hades.
Gosh darn it, that would explain why I can't figure it out. It's like Hades, no, Hades, no. It's Hades. Oh. Hades Centipede. No, that sounds stupid.
Yeah, Hades Centipede doesn't work because you're referring to the Greek mythology in either case. And according to the background of the entire show, we're based mainly on Egyptian mythology. So I want to say that he'd have to be Set Centipede. That might have worked.
Sect?
I'm not sure if it's actually Set, and I know it's not Mott.
Oh crap! This was like half a chapter at the start of my
No,
mythology.
it's Anubis. Anubis is the guardian of the gates.
Crap.
Anubis Centipede wouldn't have worked because we have plenty of Anubis monsters already too.
I tried.
Hell Centipede, a classic case of them not sticking to their guns when it comes to their cards. It's too late for Archfiends; they can't be saved. But new cards should not have the same stipulations as the older cards. The game has been around for over a decade now. It can change its card text. It can push the edges of the card game text. It can do this. It's been trying to do this with certain things. Hell, when the Dark World stuff all came out, it's like, oh, sweet, new Dark World stuff. And now they're one of the most competitive decks in the game, which is sad, but it's what happens.
Why is it sad?
Because Dark World is incredibly bursty and may as well be another version of Lightsworn.
Yeah, but this one's dark. That way you have the battle of light and darkness. Who goes off first? Those from the hand or those from the grave? Oh, wait.
And honestly, it usually ends up being Dark World that goes off first, as far as I've seen.
Just because their grapha is not nearly as restrictive.
Yeah. But yeah, this has been Gerdat 14 ranting about name changes in a children's card game.
This has been Lyokosaver, occasionally playing devil's advocate, occasionally just being laughing, and for the most part, just being the guy recording. Because I don't get as upset, I'm afraid. Sorry. And with that...
Even his Portuguese name is awesome. Centipede do Inferno. See, I could go with an Inferno archetype, man. I could.
Oh my goodness, I was gonna hit the end button. Good night, ladies and gentlemen.
Be safe, everyone.
We'll see you again.